it was supposed to be a surprise, and so I get on the Zoom call, and I see Gail and Adam, Oprah's merchant, and and we had met them in the past. I mean, delightful people, and they couldn't have been nicer on the call. And I was just waiting for kind of the ask, and there were other screens on the monitor that were blank, but it said Gail's assistant, Adam's assistant, and then the next thing I know, one of the screens turns on, and it's Oprah, holding our toaster, and it was like such a surreal moment.
Hey everyone, this is Mike Wolf. Welcome to the Spoon Podcast. If you follow food Instagram or TikTok, or more specifically, kitchen gadget Instagram or TikTok, chances are over the past couple of years, you've seen someone talking about this crazy touchscreen toaster. A toaster that went viral during the pandemic, in part because it's a toaster with a touchscreen, and also because it costs between $270 and $400, which seems high when you could buy a toaster for $15 on Amazon or at Walmart. But the high price point was actually part of the strategy, as you'll find out in this podcast conversation I have today with the CEO of the company behind the toaster, Tom Klaff. Tom's a longtime tech entrepreneur who didn't have any experience in the kitchen, building technology, but one day he was talking to his business partner, Bruce Levinson, who had fixated much of his life on building the perfect toaster. And after Tom went to the Houseware Show in Chicago and saw that all the cheap commodity toasters were making toast and heating the toast with the same heating element that's been used pretty much for the most of the past century, he went back and told Bruce that he's in, let's build a business. But Tom had bigger ideas and saw that the heating technology in the toaster could be used for lots of other kitchen appliances, and that's where the idea behind the company was born. This past January at CES, the company introduced a new product called the Microwave, part microwave oven, part toaster oven, part multi-function heating appliance, and it has the same infrared heating technology in it that the toaster does. We talk about this and what makes Revolution's technology so different from what's out there. If you want to meet Tom in person and hear about his heating technology, hear about his experience meeting Oprah through Zoom, he'll be at the Smart Kitchen Summit on June 4th and 5th. Just head to smartkitchensummit.com, use the coupon code PODCAST for 15% off tickets. And if you haven't already given us a review for the Spoon Podcast, please do so at your favorite podcast listening spot. It really helps. All right, everyone, let's get to my conversation with Tom Klaff. All right, I'm excited to be here with Tom Klaff, the CEO of Revolution Cooking. How you doing, Tom?
Great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You are in this room. I see a cool toaster in the background, and that's what you guys are really known for is this. What I would say is the most technically advanced toaster in the world. I mean, it's arguably that. That was your first product. We'll get into that, but let's step back a little bit. How did you get into food products? Why did you decide to do this crazy thing and go into creating kitchen tech products?
It's a great question. I ask that myself every day. I never was a cook. Didn't know how to operate an oven. But I've been a disruptor my entire career. I've been an entrepreneur. My MO has been, I look at large industries with little to no innovation. And if I can identify a problem I can solve with disruptive technology, I've done that in multiple industries. Really, looking at, is there a niche opportunity to build value?
What were some of the spaces you were in before Revolution?
Yeah, I started, my first company, I started disrupting, dates me, the college tour market, college admissions and college marketing, where
that's a good one.
Back in the early 90s, when there was no real commercial internet, we did home college tours on CD-ROM for college companies. And then I witnessed this sea change of online with, CompuServe and Prodigy and AOL, and then the commercial internet, but realized that the colleges really weren't interested in videos. They really wanted to, it was a list marketing company at the end of the day. They needed to fill their classes. So understanding the core value of what we were trying to do differently than sending out brochures. But did that there. We were in the kind of ground floor. I built a streaming media company back in the late 90s, really doing what was called multicast management. It was a military technology that I commercialized after the Victoria's Secret live fashion show exploded on the internet. And all the dial-up modems couldn't handle it anymore. So we figured out a way to, kind of manage, high volume data and large bit streams using multicast, and then that became a core infrastructure product, and it was seminal in the mobile content delivery market. So we got bought by a large.
There's the real networks and the like Microsoft Media Server, and then like there was the Akamai's of the world.
We were partners with all of them. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Been in data security. We created a digital notary service in the early 2000s before the e-discovery rules, required electronic evidence, to be protected, and it became sort of the seminal technology behind blockchain. We didn't know it at the time, but it was blockchain in 2003. So just been early in a lot of things, and in each of these companies, I really wanted to build a platform technology, and this is really what I wanted to do with my partner Bruce, whose idea was to come up with a different kind of toaster. He really was frustrated with toast taking so long. Over 40 years, he'd been thinking about this. He would bring in bagels every Monday for his company, and lines would form out of the kitchen, and he's just would bemoan, like, why does it take so long to toast bread? We could put a person on the moon, and we can't figure out a way to toast bread faster. So it was a passion problem for him to solve. But I met him in 2016 after I sold my last business. I was in the automotive space at the time and looking for something different to do. And I really liked Bruce when I met him, and we hit it off. And I just didn't know anything about toasters or cooking, but I decided I would just on my own dime fly out to the Housewares in Chicago. Walk around and see what was out there. I used to go to all the big Comdex shows and the CES shows, so this was different. And then when I walked around, I noticed that all the toasters and ovens had the same heating element. Yeah. And different price points. Everything was different. Like, you would have a $20 toaster or a $6,000 oven, and they had the same nichrome wire but different, industrial design and knobs and
colors and designs and knobs, but the heating's the same no matter if it's a $10 toaster or a $500 toaster.
So I called Bruce, and after I said, look, I'm in, but this, we'll figure out a way to get you a fast toaster, but I really see an opportunity to become, the high definition television to standard TV, for the internal guts of infrared cooking. And so we kind of use that as the analogy, like this is high def compared to standard television. And that's really what Instaglow was about. And this is what we embarked on, and just to kind of build a new heating system that would be far more efficient. It would get hotter. It would cool down faster. It would toast faster, caramelize faster, and ultimately cook faster.
That gets back to your platform. Like, you always wanted to build a platform. He saw it as a toaster because he had this like lifelong strange passion about like the toaster being not efficient.
Right. And if we were like, sane business people, we would look at the market and size it up. And, we decided that, let's look at the toasters were an appliance that were easier to build in an oven. So, so that checked one of the boxes, and we could, use it as a test bed for the core technology and see if it worked. It was really an R&D experiment, building a toaster. But also it was also helping us build a playbook on how to build a consumer product. And taking, a page out of what Keurig did and what Vitamix did and what Dyson did. And how do you look at a tired category and lift it with a unique experience driven by a core technology that's different.
And it didn't take long for people to notice because when you have a toaster at a higher price point, also putting a touchscreen on it, that was another innovation. I know that's not like your core innovation, like putting a cool touchscreen on it, but like, I think that's what people saw first. And because it's also hard to explain, hey, this is a different heating element. That's a longer cell, a little more nuanced.
That's why we did it. So Phil and I were sitting around one day. We had a standard toaster chassis, standard toaster experience, and it worked really, really well, like surprisingly well. And we're like, well, this is great. What happens when it's on a shelf? It's going to look like everything else.
No one will know. No one will tell.
My cell phone, my iPhone. I said, why don't we just kind of people are used to using iPhones. And I mounted it in front of this prototype. And then, Phil well, why don't we just angle a little bit so people can see it? So that's sort of how we came up with the design.
That added probably a whole new layer of complexity. Like you had to then
Oh
figure
my
out like
God.
a graphical user interface. And did you build your own software? Was there software out there? How did you make that
Yeah,
work?
we looked at iOS and Android. We really couldn't be on traditional platforms because of the cost. So we programmed this to the bare metal. We had to look at it. How do you build something elegant without all that infrastructure cost, and make it optimal. And that's really what we did. So it would have been easier if we built it on a Android or an iOS platform, but it would just it would have been too cost prohibitive.
Even like WebOS, like some of those older ones that maybe were a little lighter weight. Interesting. Mm-hmm. And so you came out. When did the Revolution toaster hit the market?
We launched it. We launched it with Williams Sonoma.
Okay.
Exclusively. I'll tell you the date. It was like November 13th, 2019.
Okay.
And we hurried to get to market with them, and it was quite an experience. And it was right before COVID hit. So we launched. We did really well with Williams Sonoma, and what a fantastic launch partner they were. And then we were loading into other retailers in March, but then COVID shut everything down. So we had no plans really to go to Amazon. We had a .com business. We put up a .com in addition to Williams Sonoma. So we really had to rethink our distribution strategy, once COVID hit, as everybody did.
I mean, it kind of went viral. So that I think played to your guys. That was a good thing. And maybe the pandemic helped because people were at home doing lots of things they wanted to buy. I know that sales of things like Instant Pots and air fryers skyrocketed during that first year of the pandemic. I would imagine that also helped you.
It did. We were beautifully naive. We didn't, know what we didn't know. I think, our focus was, can we support Williams Sonoma? And let's make sure we do everything we can to make that successful. No one anticipated the pandemic to hit. And so we were actually, we were so new, that we didn't have that legacy thinking. So we were kind of adapting as we went anyway. So I think that, for us, we had to pivot to Amazon earlier than we would have expected. And a lot of the retailers went .com. So we were already set up for that. So it actually didn't really disrupt much of what we were doing. Plus we were learning as we went. And it was helpful also to have, great advisors along the way who really, helped us, with, kind of how, with the playbook, we were building our own playbook, and having a remarkable product was important. Word of mouth was absolutely important because we really didn't have a lot of money to spend on building brand and in the marketing.
Yeah. You had to spend on a physical product. You have to spend on inventory. And I don't know, we don't have to go too super deep in it, but did you have like a Shopify site ready to go? Is there like a kind of a distributor that you had kind of in the background that you had to really amp up once everything went kind of online?
Well, we had a 3PL, that we worked with to warehouse product. We took multiple trips out to China, had a great person guiding us in China, helping us with all the suppliers and the setup there. And then from an e-commerce standpoint, we were kind of in a crawl, walk, run. We weren't on Shopify at the time. We were doing something. We were just getting online with another platform, but we quickly moved to Shopify. Once we brought in, people who really knew e-commerce, because we didn't really know e-commerce when we started.
And somewhere along the way, and this is kind of almost like one of those Shark Tank moments, but it wasn't Shark Tank. You had an Oprah moment where I think that added to the virality of it and people took notice, right?
Yeah.
So tell me you got a call from Oprah. What happened there?
Well, when we launched in early 2020, we did a promo with Gayle King in the CBS Morning Show, and it was one of those deals where it was a revenue share and a deep discount, and we're like, okay, well, this is part of brand building, and I think Gayle liked the toaster, and Gayle is very friendly with Oprah, so I think that there was some connection there that got us in with Oprah. But we, my marketing colleague said, hey, Gail King wants to talk to us. This is like last year, or when, I mean, I'm trying to remember, it was 22, I think.
Yeah.
Gail wants to talk to us about another thing. I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know if we can afford to do that. I'm not, let's pass. And he goes, well, I think we should talk to her anyway, because he knew what was going on.
Okay.
And so
he didn't.
So there was
he didn't let you in on the. He suspected Oprah. Okay.
He wanted, it was supposed to be a surprise, and so I get on the Zoom call, and I see Gail and Adam, Oprah's merchant, and and we had met them in the past. I mean, delightful people, and they couldn't have been nicer on the call. And I was just waiting for kind of the ask, and there were other screens on the monitor that were blank, but it said Gail's assistant, Adam's assistant, and then the next thing I know, one of the screens turns on, and it's Oprah, holding our toaster, and it was like such a
was she hugging
moment.
the toaster, like hugging it,
hugging the toaster, and when I grew up in Baltimore, Oprah, was she was a newscaster in Baltimore. I mean, I used, back when I was growing up, I mean, she was on all the time, and it was just like I've always been a fan of hers, and my wife, who happened to be working in the next room, kind of heard this, and she loves Oprah. So she comes running in and basically takes over my screen to talk to Oprah.
Oh my gosh.
It was a fun moment. It was great.
That's hilarious.
I think that, and she couldn't have been more down to earth. I mean, wow. It was one of those memorable moments that you'll never forget.
But I think what ultimately the story there is that she made it one of her like recommended gifts, or what happened?
Yeah. The Oprah's favorite thing,
Okay.
she has a list every year for the Christmas holiday season, and we made it that year, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember growing up watching. I didn't watch a lot of Oprah, but like I remember when she had her show, she'd always like have the item under the under the chair. So this is essentially the toaster under the chair, and I would imagine you saw skyrocketing demand, always, or that bumped it a little bit.
Yeah, we did. I mean, look, it's still a very expensive aspirational product.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were selling, more of a commodity product that she endorsed, but we definitely got demand increase, and we got brand awareness. And I think that was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great.
Yeah. It's not a book though. So like, yeah, it's not like a $20 purchase. And then I feel like I should have mentioned this earlier. So it is expensive. It's what is the price point for people listening?
I mean, our starting toaster is around $299.
Okay.
We've got a $350 version as well. And we're an aspirational product, like a Vitamix blender would be, or like a Dyson vacuum cleaner would be. I mean, we really ascribe to being aspirational.
And so is it still the same? You have a couple products there. Is it the same generation? Have you adapted the technology? Still kind of where it was when you launched?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we're rolling out a next gen, which we'll be announcing shortly, and I think it's like any day now we'll be announcing it. It's we'll finally have our good, better, best SKU in the market this year, and 2 of the 3 items will be connected toasters. We've learned a lot about servicing customers. We learned a lot about the heating system and how to make it even better. So this next platform is a step change in performance, in innovation. There's a lot of IP around this next version. We have this real estate on the screen that we want to take advantage of and deliver more value for the consumer. So think of it as your morning companion with the weather coming into your screen. I mean, there are other things you'll be able to do with it. At the end of the year, we're having a system where you'll have your picture frame coming into your screen. So there's a lot of things you'll be able to do in addition to toasting, and the fact of the matter is the counter is very valuable in terms of real estate. So giving our consumers a reason to keep this on the counter, to make it part of their everyday routine and ritual, to have fun with it every day is going to be important. So everything that you could. We're thinking about what other things can we push onto the screen because of the connectivity.
What's interesting to me is I think about this more, and you had a whole array of startups trying to push things like countertop cooking appliances. We certainly saw like success with air fryers Instant Pot, but then there's like the kind of the more high tech stuff like the smart ovens, like the Junes and the Bravas. And the Challenger is, like you said, like the countertop space is really valuable. But one thing that I always have on my countertop, and I imagine tens of millions, hundreds of millions of households do as well, is the toaster. But the thing is, no one was thinking about the toaster because, like, hey, it's this kind of lowly thing. It makes your bread brown. You can put butter on it, but you don't need high tech. You guys paid attention to something that I think everyone else was ignoring. But one of the key things was people will keep it on their countertop.
Well, the other thing is, Mike, is versatility. I mean, we want to make sure that it does more than just become an everyday toaster. I mean, we came up with this panini press. We call it a toasty press. So now, allowing our consumers, our friends to make, toasted sandwiches and not have it, drip into the toaster with this clamshell device we invented. It does a great job of grilled cheese, and you can create quesadillas and empanadas in this. We've created that. We've almost invented a whole sensation around toasting sandwiches in your toaster. Our Instagram and TikTok feeds are just off the charts in terms of the creativity of people coming in, showing what they've been able to do with our toaster, or any toaster for that matter, using our
your little panini press. That in itself is a cool product and went kind of viral because, like you said, you can turn your toaster into like a sandwich maker, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's an extension of really who we are, what we do. We are our core competency is efficient heat transfer. So when you think about what Instaglow is, which is our heating system, it's an efficient heat transfer system in our toaster. It's an efficient heat transfer concept with our panini press. And then it's also going to be an efficient heat transfer modality inside of our oven, which we're excited to launch at the end of the year. And we're really excited about the microwave too. It's going to really add something to our lineup and prove more about our platform technology, which we had charted years ago. This is kind of the roadmap of what we want to do with this core technology and how we want to enter into other adjacent categories.
Yeah, and so you did a great job introducing the concept of the oven. You saw back when you were talking to your partner who invented the toaster, you wanted to make a platform, and you saw this new heating technology. Were you thinking, okay, where else can we use it? Did you think at that time you could use it in an oven?
Yeah, because we knew that the toaster market is not that big. Yeah. I mean, U.S. 600 million, probably globally, it's roughly $3 billion. It's and that also includes the commercial toaster market. So it's not a huge market, and especially where we are with our product. I mean, we are going to enter in the commercial toaster category, but we're strictly a consumer toaster product right now. But when you look at the air fryer market, the toaster oven market, the microwave oven market, both on the consumer and in the commercial market, it's enormous. It's like 10 times the size, at least. So we're thinking, now we're thinking about, okay, how do we take advantage of this platform in larger adjacent markets and deliver a better experience? So we, with our microwave oven, which is a combination of microwave and air fryer and conventional convection, toaster oven, pizza oven, rotisserie oven, all in one. It wouldn't be possible without Instaglow. Instaglow makes that happen because it's efficient and you can, leverage multiple nodes while it's on 120 volts. I mean, it's how you leverage the power to kind of deliver the end result. So instead of just turning on the microwave and turning it off and then trying to heat up a cow rod, which takes a long time, how can you kind of get heating and crisping happening at the same time so you can deliver, a better tasting product faster? And that's really what this is all about. And the versatility of it for the consumer is that you don't have to have all of these appliances. If you want to operate this as a microwave, it'll be best in class.
I think combining this idea of the combo box is really interesting. But let's step back and explain to people your heating technology. So the Instaglow, how this differs from what you might traditionally get in a countertop toaster oven or like in a built-in oven. How does it differ?
So today, the uber majority of appliances that have infrared use what's called a cow rod, which is a nickel chromium nichrome wire. It's ageless. I mean, it was invented back in the 19th century. late 19th century. It's still state of the art today because it's in everywhere. And what this cal rod is, or this, the toaster ribbon is a cal rod. It basically is high thermal mass. It requires a lot of energy to heat it up. Mm-hmm. So to get radiative heat flux, it takes time to kind of electrify the metal so that you're able to heat up, or preheat a cavity or cast heat directly to bread in a toaster. But it takes time for that metal to heat up and deliver that heat. Now, it's not necessarily efficient heat because it takes that kind of time. So we looked at, when I started with this, Mike, I didn't know anything about this. I had to talk to metallurgists, and I went to Sweden to kind of eat with some of the world's best just to get an understanding of, how heating elements work and what we were trying to accomplish. And so we really had to look at the alloy. We had to look at not making it thick. How do you make it low thermal mass and thin? So the less metal means you need less energy to create more heat. And then you had to look at the geometry of the element. So how do you kind of shape it so that it casts heat much more efficiently to the sourced food rather than 360 degrees around it? You don't want to cast heat back, you want to cast heat forward. So how do you kind of think through that? And then when you figure that out, then you got to realize, okay, well, you have this thin piece of metal, different geometry, different alloy. How do you manage thermal expansion so it doesn't turn into liquid? And so how do you make sure that you can manage its structure? So the structure, the geometry, the alloy, the thickness, and how you get it designed all went into the IP. That coupled with integrating it with algorithms, and how do you make it so that you can make it independent? You can independently manage it. You don't have to like a cal rod does today. It's basically it's a closed loop system. So how do you kind of create it from an independent system so you can heat one side, not the other? So that gets into zone heating. How do you concentrate more power here than you do over here? That gets into power management. So all of these things affect the performance of cooking. So we designed it with that in mind: independence, power management, structure, and along with that, combining it with the experience of a touch screen and what goes in the appliance itself, what kind of food products, so you can develop algorithms easily and take advantage of Instaglow as a heating source.
Really interesting. I didn't realize that so much of it is like kind of computer driven and algorithm driven, kind of in terms of making it smart to apply the heating rather than just
it's a system, not an element.
Interesting. Because a lot of the like smart ovens we've seen before is like, hey, let's make it smart, but it's more for, hey, can we take a picture and recognize if it's done or something? I mean, outside of maybe Brava, which kind of really did a new heating kind of approach, you guys are really the one that kind of rethought heating, and that's your platform, and you're kind of building intelligence into it. Have you had any, and I don't know what your approach is, maybe we haven't had this conversation. Are you open to building a technology that could be an ingredient technology? Like say big appliance company A calls you, said, hey, we want to license this. Or is this something where you're going to basically say, hey, we're going to build the next big brand, Revolution Cooking is the next Whirlpool of the world? What is your approach? Or have you thought it through?
It's a great question. Great question, Mike. Because I think, this is what I've talked to my partners about is getting back to the high definition versus standard television, analogy. Our goal is to get Instaglow into every single home, that has a cooking appliance in the next 20 years. I mean, how do we become the standard? We're doing it today, with our own products because, we have to. No one's come to us and said, hey, have you thought about this or that? We are absolutely open, towards being an ingredient brand with other companies in adjacent categories where we don't compete with our own brand. But yeah, I think that we have a hybrid model on this. I mean, it's, sort of like, Dyson is, they're going to build everything on their universal, motor, versus an open source concept. I think that right now we're more like Dyson just because we haven't entertained any partners who have sought an interest in Instaglow. But if it gets us into more homes faster and better and less expensively, and we can create more enterprise value along the way. It's certainly part of our strategy.
So the microwave, which is a great name, by the way, combines microwave, which I feel like every household in America probably has at this point, apartments as well. And then also does it have steam?
It does not have steam.
That's about the only thing it doesn't have, because it seems like it has everything else.
Right. It's not that we couldn't add steam. Yeah. We leverage the microwave in a lot of the ways where steam is used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so this is going to be out by the end of this year.
Well, we're launching with commercial partners right now. I mean, so this is a commercial product and a residential product.
Okay. Same SKU, or are you going to have different SKUs, different price points?
It'll be a different SKU, but it'll be similar. And the nice thing about it is because it's got a UI driven interface. We can flash a commercial SKU experience and a residential SKU experience. Okay. So, but one will be more commercial UL rated for the areas we're going into. Sure. That gives us where we have more power available to us. We'll be able to take advantage, and the other will be a consumer UL rated product.
What have you released the price point? Can you talk price point for the consumer product yet?
Yeah, we did some research around this, Mike, and so we're the sweet spot with this product and the value it's going to drive to consumers is really around the $1,500 to $2,000 range, and we haven't decided fully which price we're going to launch into, but I think that's sort of the range. And when you look at higher end microwaves. And you look at higher end ovens, and there's certainly speed ovens. It's a bargain compared to the speed ovens that you're seeing. The versatility of this product is so immense that it'll justify the price. There's a lot of value around it with the connectivity and the fact that it's going to be always updated. So, this is sort of an evergreen product when you think about it at that price point.
What's next for you guys? You did the toaster. You did the toaster. You have your microwave coming out, multifunction hybrid cooking appliance. Really cool. Is there something else on the roadmap, or can you hint at something on the roadmap?
Well, we have, we developed a consumable with a chef in the Cleveland area that took advantage of our toaster and our panini press offerings. So the concept around an engineered food that can toast in a toaster using a press, that's of interest. We're talking to CPG companies around that. We're also working with a couple of partners right now on taking the concept of this durable panini press and make it as a package for for the frozen food industry. So the idea that you can have a disposable or recyclable press around this that delivers a grilled cheese sandwich in under 5 minutes from frozen in any toaster is interesting. So we're working on that. We've got a lot of other things that we're working on that are in the earlier stage, but taking the concept of the toaster into the commercial space in the conveyor world, where you don't have to keep it on, all day long. What you see in the buffets and the bagel in the back end bagel restaurants, it operates faster and better just by turning it on when it happens. So and the throughput is incredible. So we're working on that, and then looking at extensions of the microwave in the back of the house with quick service restaurants and how we can take advantage of more power around all that. In addition, getting into the non 120 volt worlds, which is the rest of the world, looking at opportunities for 220.
Okay. Well, exciting. I can't wait to hear more about this in Seattle. Tom Klaff, you're going to be at the Smart Kitchen Summit in Seattle, talking about what you're building. And so Revolution Cooking, where can people find out more information?
Yeah, we're at revcook.com. Easy website. You'll see a lot of toasters, not a lot of anything else yet, but we're working on our story right now.
RevCook, and that's revcook.com, right?
revcook.com.
All right. Hey, well, thanks, Tom. This has been great. Thanks for spending time with me.
Absolutely, Mike. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's my conversation with Tom Klaff of Revolution Cooking. I mean, come on, it's probably time we start to think of better ways to toast our bread or our bagels. And I kind of think a touchscreen makes sense on a toaster, especially because it's one of those devices that stays on your counter all the time. You're not necessarily unplugging it and putting it away. Some people do, but ours stays plugged in all the time. And it's one of those spaces or one of those things that could have a touchscreen. Who knows, maybe combine the touchscreen and the voice interaction. Let's see, maybe an Alexa toaster. Why not? They're already partway there. So also the combination of different heating types in one cooking box is something that I think is really interesting. It was something that I saw taking hold a little bit at CS this past January. And so the microwave is one of those mashup boxes where they're combining a bunch of different heating types. And especially what I like about it is they're actually putting microwave in there, because I use my microwave every day, and why not combine microwave with another type of heating? Makes a lot of sense. So I'm definitely looking forward to catching up with Tom in Seattle at the Smart Kitchen Summit in just about 10 days. If you'd like to join us, head to smartkitchensummit.com, get a ticket, use the coupon code podcast for a great discount, and I'd love to see you there. All right, that's it for now. We'll talk to y'all soon.